Welcome back to another episode of the HigherUp podcast. I'm your host, Michael Smoke, and in today's episode, we are going to be doing a follower Q&A. I've selected 22 questions from the, 300 submissions that I've gotten. I do apologize if I missed yours. I tried to pick 22, arbitrary number, that I thought covered a broad spectrum of topics, bases, and things that, well, frankly, I like speaking on or feel I might be able to add some value on. So we've got a wide gamut of topics today. And if you see me frequently looking down, I actually have the podcasting software here on the left side of my screen, which you can't see, and the questions typed in a Word document on a sort of a split screen setup. So I'm reading from my computer here, and I'll be sure to copy and paste the questions in the description below as well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and kick this off with the opening question from PindyCineda. Did you always know how to communicate/express your thoughts effectively? I make a lot of content around communication and how I believe that communication skills are, in fact, a superpower that you can train, hone, and sharpen. But it was not always the case that I could do this, that I could sit in front of a camera, for example, and speak for half an hour on various topics without filler words, at a proper cadence, and also subconsciously at a tone and delivery that is engaging to you, the listener. It took a lot of practice. It took a lot of, frankly, embarrassment, screwing up, making mistakes, and being willing to do so to get me here. So I want to reinstill hope for those of you who are trying to hone and develop your communication skills, that it is a muscle, you can train it, and you can even become incredibly proficient at it, no matter where you're starting from. But there are a couple things you need to do. You need to start to eliminate or at least limit filler words definitely in your content, but certainly in your day-to-day conversations as well. Now, the way that I'm talking to you now in this sort of podcaster style speaking is not how I talk to everybody in my daily conversation. That would be fucking weird, frankly. I do say I do say like occasionally, I do say but the goal is to limit that speech because ultimately it does make you look less competent and less qualified, especially when you are trying to take on an authoritative position. So the first thing I would do is limit or eliminate your filler words where you can. Second thing I would do is absolutely record yourself speaking frequently, preferably every day, and hopefully for the next 30 days after you see this video. You've probably seen it. There have been quite a few creators doing the HigherUp Wellness Speaking Challenge, which I did not coin, I did not start, I did not mean to start. I simply encouraged people to create burner accounts and speak into the camera every day for a month for 60 seconds. People started tagging me, and it's become a movement, and it's incredible, and it's powerful, and I'm honored to have been a small part of that as a catalyst. But we're seeing multiple creators now gaining tens of thousands of followers just as a result of putting themselves out there, and you can see the visible difference in their skill sets just from day 1 to day 30. That's only 4 weeks, simply by getting in front of the camera and building the callus to be comfortable in that setting. Because admittedly, it is a little bit odd and awkward to get in front of a camera, especially like this. Right now, it looks like I'm looking right at you and we're having a conversation, but I'm staring into a camera lens, and behind that are blinds overlooking a lovely view, which I cannot see because the blinds are shut. So this is a weird thing. People act a little froggy and cold-footed when they get in front of a camera. So you got to build the callus. And the last thing I'll say is you can't expect to get better at public speaking if you don't speak. Join a Toastmasters, talk to more people. If you have the opportunity to do public speaking engagements or presentations in your classes or at work, take them. You have to get in front. The only way you're really going to get comfortable speaking in front of crowds of people is by doing it. It's a trial by fire. So I have not always been this way. I had a sales program that taught me how to speak. I had a father who was remarkably eloquent and articulate, and I enjoy learning from the greats, the great public speakers, on just how to do this. So it is a skill. You can hone it, and you will if you stick with it. The next question is from username Stupid, which is actually my boy Nick. Hey, Nick, I appreciate you submitting a question, brother. He asked for, simply put, tips to grow on social media platforms. I am going to try to keep these questions because there are 22. I'm going to try to keep my answers as punctual as possible. It's not always easy for me because I'm passionate about all this stuff, but I am going to try to get to the point with everything as quickly as I can, which is another skill of communication. Never use 2 words where 1 will suffice. I think Thomas Jefferson said that. Tips to grow on social media platforms. First one, foremost, most important, nothing else matters if you can't do it. Post every day, every single day, 7 days a week. Doesn't have to be edited, doesn't have to be sexy. You guys watch my videos and they are the opposite of both of those. Just post every day. This will give you the opportunity to figure out what you love talking about, to sharpen your niche, to hone your authenticity, to be more comfortable with it, but ultimately put you in the favor of the algorithm, because the algorithm rewards consistency and good content, and it will get better as you improve. So after posting consistently, I would say once you start to post consistently, engage with your community, comment back to people, answer questions. You have to cultivate community. You have to genuinely want to connect with people. It's not because you have some sort of hidden agenda of building a page. I respond to comments and answer people's questions and DMs because I want to connect with people. It's important to me. It makes me happy. It makes me feel fulfilled. So consistency, connection to your community, and ultimately figuring out what it is you want to talk about and then not confining yourself to any of it. That's very important. I had a conversation on a podcast I was a guest on today about my belief that you are the niche. Now, I say figure out what it is that you want to talk about because, for example, most of what I talk about is health and fitness because it's what I love. It's what I decided I wanted to build a business on, a brand on, and what I truly believe is the most powerful thing that I talk about is getting healthy. But I also talk about public speaking. I talk about sales. I talk about my love for the fillet of fish. I talk about how I drink occasionally and how to combat hangovers. I just cue you into my life. That's why I think they should do a fucking case study on Leo Skepi. I think Leo's actually, if he had his IQ tested, he's probably a genius. He knows what he's doing. He is the king of personal brand building. He has mastered riding the line between authority figure and relatable friend on FaceTime because people go to his massive podcast for his therapy-like insights, but then they'll watch him go get an In-N-Out cheeseburger and smoke a cigarette because that's, what he's known for. And I love watching Leo Skepi. It's like he brings you along the journey that is his life. He's like, come on, bitch, we're going to go to In-N-Out. Like, I'm there. I'm going to In-N-Out with Leo. So your personal brand is just that. It's personal, and you have to make it as such. And that's really all I'll say about that. Anything outside of that will take care of itself. Fuck the numbers. Fuck the engagement rates. Blah, blah, blah. Make content that is true to you, and don't stop making it every single day. Hope that helps, Nick. Wesleysilvain asks, what's one thing you wish you could say to your 18 to 20-year-old self? Powerful question because it's a tough time for kids. That's like your first battle with early adulthood. And the thing that came up for me immediately, and I've come to accept that what comes up for you first is probably what feels the most true. And for me, it was, I wish I could tell him it's about to get really good. It's about to get way better than you could possibly imagine. And that fear that you have of being inadequate or below average or never quite being good enough to do what you want to do is going to get smashed to bits. And without realizing it, you're going to build all of these skills. They're going to take you to where you are, I am, right now. And that 18 to 20 is just hard. And it's just, that's okay. It doesn't have to be hard at the expense of you trying to make it easy. Just accept that that's just a normal part of life that's difficult. Your identity is beginning to shift. You're done with high school. You have freedom and autonomy. Embrace it and lean into what that hard thing can teach you and sit in the tension of it rather than trying to make it easy or make it right. Because that's what creates suffering in everybody, is the resistance to feeling things that aren't necessarily positive, air quotations, and trying to make them positive rather than sitting in the tension of what is and learning from it and ultimately ascending through it. So I wish I could tell that kid and all the kids that, like, it's going to get a lot better than what it is right now at 18 to 20. That is so far from the peak of your life. And to trust that, it might be a few years. For me, it was like 5 or 6, but life's fucking sick now. And I had great times in between there. And I learned a lot and I built the skills that I needed to get where I am today. Hope that helps, brother. Riley Mcbay asks, how do genetics come into play in fitness? For example, no one in my family has a butt. Hey, Riley, thank you for submitting a question. Riley's a friend. So I appreciate you doing this, and I appreciate you for listening to the show. It's a little different when friends listen to the podcast. So this is actually a really great question because it paints a broader stroke to an issue that I think people aren't necessarily thinking about. People always say, like, well, I just have bad genetics. For example, like, no one in my family has an ass and girls want to build butts. So, like, it's a limitation, but it's ultimately self-imposed, if that makes sense, in the way that, sure, no one in your family might have a big butt by genetic predisposition, but you all have muscle tissue. You all have muscle tissue that, just like any other human being, when placed under stress, can be grown. But you have to do it the right way. You have to get on a structured program. If you want to grow your glutes, you should probably be doing some variation of a squat, probably a hip thrust, kind of the king of glute builders. and maybe like an RDL of some sort of Romanian or straight leg deadlift. You should be doing them every week, maybe 4 to 7 sets per week, broken up over a couple of workouts, and you should be pushing close to failure, getting stronger every workout where you can, add a rep or add weight. That's how you grow all muscles, and the butt, the glutes are no different. Where genetics play a role is really just in skeletal frame and muscular insertion points. So, for example, my chest is not great developmentally wise. I have a little bit more narrow of clavicles. And so what that means is the insertion point from my where the pec inserts here all the way to the middle of my sternum is shorter than someone with, let's say, broad bone structure where their shoulders are much broader, like their actual shoulder bones. And so they have more space, more length for that muscle to grow outward, creating that big shelf. That's like Arnold Schwarzenegger, who's touted as having the best chest in bodybuilding. If you were to strip all of his muscle away, the length between his shoulder blades is much larger than mine. I have narrow clavicles. So even though I have finally grown my chest and figured out movements that really engage the tissue for me, and I've put a lot of muscle on my chest, it's still not a great pec. It's still not a great chest because my muscle insertions just aren't that favorable for it. Now I have super favorable delt insertions. My bicep insertions are also solid, so I develop those and they look better and almost overpower my chest. But there are going to be some genetic limitations, but that doesn't mean you can't still grow the hell out of your glutes or your chest or whatever you guys feel you're genetically limited by if you apply progressive overload and proper training. I cannot stress enough the importance of proper, structured, intense training if you actually want your physique to look different. It's not Pilates, it's not group fitness, it is the boring, heavy resistance training. I mean, I don't think it's boring, but it is the resistance training with intention on a program. It's the difference between training and exercise. It is the focused training that is going to give you the results that you look for. So I hope that helps, Riley. Caden asks a question I talk about all the time. Caden5336 asks, what are your fitness non-negotiables? Like stuff you do no matter what. I talk about this all the time. I believe everyone would benefit from having floors instead of ceilings. You have to find your fitness floors. And when I say that, what I mean is, New Year's rolls around and everyone sets these crazy ceiling goals. I'm going to walk 20,000 steps a day, gym 5 days a week, no cheat meals, no processed sugar, no soda, only whole foods, Whole30 diet, keto diet. They just go from 0 to 1,000 and wonder why they can't comply. I have floors. So I don't set maximums, I set minimums. What are the things that no matter how crazy life gets, I know that I can do, that I can stick to? And for me, it's 3 focused hard lifts a week, 10,000 steps a day, and hitting my protein goal. I will never miss that. I'm 100% compliant on that for 5 years now, because I know no matter what happens, I can manage 3 hours a week in the gym. I can manage an hour of walking a day, and I can eat 200 grams of protein. And if I can just do those 3 things, though it may not be optimal for what my goals are at the time, that effort will compound. It's just like compound interest in the bank. That effort will compound on top of itself and ultimately realize into great gains years down the road. So could I be doing more? Yes. But I know I will never do less than that, and that effort will grow and develop over months and over years to build the physique that I want. So those are my fitness non-negotiables, Caden. Brady Moulton 5 asks, how important is enough water and how much should we actually be drinking daily? I've gotten a lot of questions about this, and it is something that does spark a lot of confusion because of the conventional gallon a day wisdom. But let's just think about this logically for a second. If I'm a 195-pound man myself, why would I need the same amount of water to fuel the machine as a 5'2", 100-pound woman? This doesn't make sense, right? Bigger car, more gas in the tank. It's the same thing with calories. I don't need, if I were to eat the calorie surplus of a 5-foot-tall, 100-pound woman, I'd be in a deficit. So generally a good rule of thumb is half your body weight in ounces is probably enough. And then beyond that, just drink to thirst. So I drink, call it 200 pounds. I drink 100 ounces of water a day in my little Memorial Day cup. And anything beyond that, I will have more. But people are like, I'm drinking a gallon a day and I can't stop peeing. Yeah, you're overhydrating and then just depleting yourself of electrolytes. So half your body weight in ounces is more than sufficient. JO2K_4. Does ultra running affect testosterone? Yes. And they've done research on this. I don't want to butcher it, but a study my friend Dylan O'Brien told me about was that a study was done on ultra runners that ran over 30 kilometers a week, I think was the metric that they used, the parameter. which that's something like 25 miles a week or something. I can't remember exactly what it was. Point is, they compared that to a control group that doesn't run at all, and they found on average that the men's testosterone in the 50 kilometers per week is what I think it was. The 50-kilometer group, their testosterone was 40% lower on average. Now, that's not to say that's exactly what's going to happen to you. It's one study, it's an isolated scenario. But when I got off Ultra Prep, my test was like 520 and my total, and my free test was like 11. And I got it tested the other day or 2 months ago, and my test was 740 and my total, and my free was like 16.9 or something. I could be wrong about that. It was substantially higher. I know my test was in the sevens when it was in the fives. And I was running less, shocker. I was also sleeping, recovering, but there's a lot of things that play into that. And so if you love running, just make sure you're eating enough protein to keep lean tissue. Make sure you're doing heavy strength training. Make sure you are sleeping enough. That is the critical pillar to hormone health, is sleeping enough. Make sure you're eating nutrient-dense foods to give your cells what they need to make all the proper hormones by giving them the precursors to said hormones. So yeah, it does impact testosterone on average, but that doesn't mean you can't do it. Wes.Edgeworth, you rep the Whoop and the Garmin every day. Should I get a Whoop if I have an Apple Watch? Yes, I do. Double wrist, if you will. For those just listening, I'm holding up my wrist to the screen, the camera. I wear a Garmin, I wear a Whoop. I've had my Whoop 4.0 since 2021. I love it. I've had it since right when the 4.0 dropped, and I have had this Garmin for not that long. Now, there are a lot of parallels that they share. You know, they say the Garmin tracks sleep. It's probably a little better for training, but you really can't hold a candle to the recovery and data metrics that Whoop provides you. And I love data. So what I will say is, if you are not a very data-driven person, you're not an accountant or just a weirdo like me or an engineer, it's probably not for you. It's not for everybody. And some people can even get a little bit too in their head about the metrics and I'm in the red today. I didn't sleep well. I can't train. I use it to track my sleep, to keep up with my REM, make sure I'm getting enough deep. And I look at the recovery insights, and I like to journal my day inside the app. It does get far more robust than that, but I would say if you love data, the Whoop is worth it. And it's relatively inexpensive. I think it's $30 for the device and $300 for the whole year, which is like $25 a month. Pretty manageable given the data and reports and feedback you get from the device. And they just dropped the 5.0. This is the 4. I don't have the 5 yet, but I am going to get it. And I actually have a code. I'll put the link in the description. If you want to grab a Whoop, try it out, get 1 month free. The link will be below. And you get to support me. So I'd appreciate it. So that is my opinion. I love double wristing because I love using the Garmin for running and training. I mean, it's the king of kings for endurance sports, but it's not as robust on sleep as a Whoop, and it certainly doesn't have all the recovery and strain metrics that Whoop does either. So it's ultimately up to you, my friend. Armand Breich says, coconut water or electrolyte powder? Which one is better for morning hydration? I picked this question because I'm making more electrolyte content again, like I used to back in the old Dizzy. And I'm getting a lot of people like, coconut water is all you need. It's naturally made. It's blah, blah, blah. Shut the fuck up. No, it's not. Sorry, that was harsh. It's just wrong. It's misinformed. It's a lack of education. If you want to drink coconut water, great. It's got a little bit of natural sugar in it, so it's a good quick carbohydrate. It's high in potassium, which is important, and people don't get enough of that. But it doesn't have really anything else in the form of electrolytes in an abundant form. It's got like 60 milligrams of sodium instead of 600 in a dose of electrolytes. So coconut water is fine. You want to take coconut water and put a few cranks of salt into it, then you have a more balanced electrolyte beverage. But if the goal is electrolytes, coconut water is really only dominant in potassium. It lacks just about everything else to be a sufficient electrolyte profile. You're better off using something like this, an Element. I just happen to have this on my desk. It's the only thing sitting on my desk besides my cup of water. It's 1,000 sodium, 200 potassium, and 60 magnesium. Crank one of these every morning. You'll feel great. Or you can just use salt. I personally use ElectroLite every morning. I have a signature flavor from EcoVision. Orange is my signature flavor if you want to try it. It tastes like a creamsicle. It's nice. Code HU if you want to try it out. Save some money. But no, coconut water is not sufficient. If the goal is getting hydrated through a balanced electrolyte profile, you're better off going with Santa Cruz electrolytes, EcoLite, plain old salt water, putting salt in your coconut water, but not just coconut water alone. Hope that helps. Stefan Bezanovsky asks, what are your thoughts on extreme cutting? I mean, more than a 500 calorie deficit. How does it impact muscle loss and metabolism? Great question, because it can be easily complicated and nuanced. So anything beyond a 500 calorie daily deficit, let's say 750 to 1,000 calorie daily deficit, can be tough because you get hungry. It's an aggressive deficit. And so, yes, you risk muscle loss when you do this, especially as a natural lifter, but you can offset it, albeit almost completely, with a very high protein intake and really intense strength training close to failure. Again, my friend Dylan O'Brien goes on a cut every year where he cuts on about 1,800 calories because he likes the cut to be over fast. But his maintenance is like 3,200. So it's over a 1,200 calorie deficit and he gets shredded in like 5 weeks. But he eats 250 grams of protein, which is more than he needs at 200 pounds. And he trains really hard in the gym on a low volume, high intensity approach. You need to give the muscle a reason to stay. So you need to train close to failure and you won't lose the muscle because the body knows you need it. And if you replenish those amino acids your body's trying to break down in a caloric deficit or through training, you'll be fine. So I'm not a proponent of aggressive cutting because I'm a fat boy and have a big appetite. But if I were to do it, I would eat over my protein requirements. So for me, about 190, I'd probably eat 220 to 230 a day. And I would train really fucking hard in the gym, but it would be hard because I would be getting tired more frequently and my workouts would suck, but you can do it. And as far as the metabolic impact, let me take a quick sip of water here. As far as the metabolic impact goes, that is overstated. Your metabolism doesn't just downregulate as soon as you start eating less. If that were true, people could not starve. Let's just call it what it is. People wouldn't be starving all over the world if when you stopped eating, your metabolism just pared down. It's not fucking true. It will slow down when you lose substantial amounts of weight, like 15, 20% of your body weight, because your body doesn't need as much energy to keep you alive and move you through time and space. So metabolic adaptation is kind of real, but not as real as people make it. Also, when you get very lean and start to lose a ton of fat, your body will start to taper down things like your fidgeting, your moving around, your pacing, your desire to move because it's trying to conserve energy because it thinks you're starving. It doesn't know any better. And so it can taper down what's called your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which in some subjects can burn like 1,000 calories a day. People that tap their foot and fidget and pace, that shit adds up. Like just sitting here doing this with my hand, I don't know why I chose this motion, that would burn calories if I did it for an hour. So no, you can do it. And as so long as you're adherent to the deficit, it can work. Dilly RW, how do you train core? I picked this because for some reason people try to train their abs differently than other muscles. Don't know why, but it's the same rules apply to what I said earlier about the glutes. I train my abs 3 to 6 sets a week to failure. I do GHD sit-ups, love that movement, and I just do like 3 hard working sets until I fail, and then I stop. I don't do circuits. I don't do crazy shit. I do something that takes the muscle through a full range of motion, which a GHD absolutely does, and I do 3 hard sets to failure, and that's it. And I try to add reps every week because I'm doing it with my body weight. So don't train any muscle differently from the other. Train it hard, train it heavy, train it close to failure, and try to get stronger every week. It's that simple. Boy, 22 questions might have been a bit generous. This is quite mentally fatiguing. Camille Fletchell. Oh boy. How to move on after a long-term relationship ends. I say, oh boy, because I'm not a breakup coach, but I keep getting asked this question multiple times by multiple people. And so I'm just going to say a little bit about it. That's it. Pour into yourself and the things that make you happy. That's all I'm going to say. You have 10 times the free time you had before, and you don't have to answer or report to anybody but yourself. What a gift. How could you struggle to move on? What a blessing. You could do whatever you want and not answer to anybody. Pour into the things that make you happy. Pour into your fitness. Pour into your friendships, into your family, into your faith, if that's what you've been leaning away from and you know you should lean into. And you will find abundance on the other side of that, and you'll be just fucking fine. I promise. That's all I'm going to say about that. Pour into you. You have the opportunity to do so. F. Finnenan said, do you ever deal with feeling behind, and how did you deal with it? I made a video about this recently. If you're 18 to 22 years old, you're not behind. Don't listen to the douchebags on the internet. But that goes for everybody. You're all running your own race. I am running my own race. And the only way you start to feel behind is if you're not taking action to move your life forward or you're over comparing. But really, it's about not taking action. If you're working your ass off, the only comparison you should be doing should be as a source of motivation. You should be like, oh, wow, I aspire to be like that person one day. Not, oh, they have that and I don't. That's ego-driven. That's protection-driven. That's survivorship mindset. It's not right. If you are working your tail off to do more and be more and develop yourself, you have nothing to worry about. You are not behind. You are not running their race. You are running your race. And so long as you do the things you know you need to do every day to move the race forward and get closer to the arbitrary finish line, whatever that looks like, you're going to be all right. You're going to be all right. You are not behind. I promise you. I hope that helps, man. Alexandra AD7 asks, how to reverse from cut to maintenance without gaining a ton of weight. Reverse dieting is a myth. It's not necessary. You don't need it. You don't need to do it. You can simply go from your deficit to what you think your new maintenance might be. Now, given if you've lost a substantial amount of weight, it's going to be less. You know, when I was 230, my maintenance was like 3,500, not doing a whole lot. And then when I lost 55, 60 pounds, it was like 2,900 because I was lighter. So just punch your info, your new body weight into a TDEE calculator and go right back up to maintenance. That is all you need to do. You're going to gain a little bit of water, a little bit of weight, but that is simply just stored glycogen and body water that you need. It's going to feel good. You're going to feel stronger in the gym. Do not worry about it. It's going to be all right. Just go straight from deficit to maintenance. You do not need to reverse diet up slowly. All you're doing is prolonging the deficit. Do not do that. Reverse dieting is unnecessary. Keelan Kelly _3 asks, can you go through your supplement routine? When and where you take? Yes. I'm going to roll through it right now. Wake up in the morning about 7 a.m. I fill this cup up right here, this 32-ounce BodyTech blender bottle. God, I've had that for so long, since I worked at the fucking vitamin shop, 2016. I fill that up all the way, and I put 1 scoop of optimized minerals and 1 scoop of electrolyte, which totals out to 650 sodium and a whole bunch of minerals. And I drink that down first thing. The next supplement I take would probably be caffeine. If you count that as a supplement, I have coffee or a Celsius energy drink or something. And then I don't take anything until meal 1. After my first meal, I'll take, and this is sort of depending on if there's a lot of sun out and I'm getting a lot of sun. If it's overcast, like it kind of is right now, I will take 5,000 IUs of vitamin D3 and K2, also from Ecovision. Everything I take is from Ecovision. Code HU if you want to try it. Letter H, letter U. But I'm sponsored by them, and they make great third-party tested subs, so why would I not take their stuff? If you don't want to take Echo, fine. Pick one on Amazon. I take 5,000 IUs of D3 with K2, and then I take a serving of my omega-3 fish oils because my blood work showed my omega-6s were a little high and my 3s were a little low. So I'm working on correcting that. And then I'll probably take my creatine and some more water after that. I'll do 10 grams of creatine. 0.1 grams per kilogram is the dosage I follow for creatine. I take Ecovision creatine monohydrate. And then, I don't know if you count this, but like some days I'll take pre-workout. If I go train in the afternoon, I'll take the Ecovision Satori 4.0. It's the non-stim pre. Great pump pre-workout. And then probably put some more electrolyte in that. Pre-training, I'll have some electrolytes for performance boost. And then at night, I will take my magnesium threonate, which is the HigherUp signature Ecovision collaboration. I know this sounds like an ad, but like this is really the shit that I take every day. Just you asked, I answer. So I take the Ecovision HigherUp magnesium threonate every night. And then if I'm having a hard time sleeping, I will take the Echo Z's sleep powder, the peach mango flavor. Don't get the lemonade one. It's awful, nauseating. Sorry, MTS. The peach mango one, pretty good. And that thing knocks me the fuck out. And that's really it. I think I take like 5 or 6 supplements in a given day. Let me think. Yeah, every once in a while, I'll take the Ecovision Nootropic. It's got some like brain boosting compounds in it, but that's really it. That's everything I take. I hope that gives you a better insight. Brady Shelton asks, how does lack of sleep affect weight loss? Greatly. Example, I only get 4 to 6 hours per night. That's not good. All right, let's talk about that. Brady, my brother, please just get an hour more. That's all I ask. Please, my brother in Christ, do it. Let's talk about how sleep impacts your fat loss journey. Number 1, it is going to cause you to be, if you are sleep deprived, to potentially lose more lean mass. They did a study where they found when sleep deprived subjects and well rested subjects were both in the same amount of a caloric deficit, I think it was 20% caloric restriction, they found on average, I want to say it was either 4/10 or 6/10 of every pound lost in the sleep deprived group was lean mass. Your body is just eating muscle tissue when you're in a caloric deficit and you're sleep deprived. Oh my God, that's jarring. 4 to 6/10 of every pound is lean mass. That's a lot of fucking muscle loss. You need sleep. It will aid in hanging on to muscle. The next thing it does is it greatly negatively impacts your ghrelin and your leptin, which are the sleep hormones and the satiety hormones and the hunger hormones. Leptin regulates satiety or fullness. Ghrelin regulates hunger. When you get just one night of bad sleep, about 5 hours, your ghrelin, your hunger hormone, can be increased by 20%. Your leptin can be decreased by 20%. What does that mean? You're going to feel hungrier and have a harder time staying full. This is huge, guys. When I sleep well in a caloric deficit, the diet feels so much easier. I urge you to sleep more if you are struggling with constant hunger. It also just lowers your willpower and inhibitions. Being sleep deprived is a lot like being mildly intoxicated. Research has shown us in the form that your inhibitions are lowered, so you're more likely to make bad choices. So just get the sleep, my brother. Ava Lopez asks, any tips on building discipline? It's going to be a short answer. You don't have a discipline issue. You have a systems issue. If discipline is hard for you to adhere to, there are going to be days when you just got to go to the gym when you don't feel like it. I get it. You got to eat the right thing when you don't feel like it. That happens. But generally, Ava, you need to set up your environment in a way that is conducive to the life you say that you want to live, to the discipline you say you want to maintain or have within you. Example, after this podcast, I'm going to go train. I don't really feel like it, but my gym is like 200 yards away. So it's easy to just go walk into the gym. I don't like taking ice baths, but my cold plunge is right on the front porch of my apartment. So I just walk downstairs and get in. So the point is to reduce the barriers or friction between you and your environment and the thing you want to do more of, and increase the barriers or friction. I just made a video about this. I haven't posted yet. Increase the barriers or friction between you and the thing you want to do less of. So if you have a really hard time building that new life for yourself, ask myself, have I set up my environment to be easy to follow and create the lifestyle that I want within it? If not, reevaluate and rebuild your environment to the best of your ability. Watch It Crash asks, what are the top 3 compound lifts for building muscle using progressive overload? People are going to disagree with me on this one probably, but I'm going to look at this from a frame of reference of, if in some weird scenario I only had access to 3 movements to train with, it's all I could do in this extreme scenario, what would I pick? It would be the barbell back squat, the barbell deadlift, and the barbell bench press, or the barbell incline bench press, probably incline bench press. That's it. You could build a great physique with those 3 things. And I'm not saying that's optimal, but I'm saying if that's all you had access to, you could get pretty fucking jacked just doing those 2 things. And yeah, you leave out, some bicep work, some tricep work, delt work, but you said to pick 3. So the big 3 are what I would pick, and it's probably why they're the big 3 in powerlifting. They have the biggest bang for your buck in terms of total muscle groups targeted. So they're always a core pillar of my training, no matter what I'm doing or what I'm changing. Those 3 lifts are always in there in some form, fashion, or capacity. Jake Maraca asks, what are your top 3 tips for a successful cut? I'm not going to confine this to 3 because that's an important question. And 3 just feels like a disservice to the question. So in no particular order, it would be, for a successful cut and successful, first off, what does that look like? To me, I lose the body fat. Obviously, I get leaner, I hang on to muscle, and I don't feel like I'm dieting that much. There will be days when you're a little hungry, sure. But on the whole, I don't feel like I'm suffering the whole time, because you shouldn't. You genuinely shouldn't. It's going to be getting enough protein, hitting my protein goal because of its impact on satiety and muscle retention and gain of muscle. Number 2 is probably going to be eating enough fiber to stay full, 10 grams per 1,000 calories generally. And that also equates itself to eating a lot of voluminous food, high volume food like vegetables and fruits, which you can eat a lot of for a minimal caloric hit, thereby making you feel more full. So protein, fiber, top 3 tips for you. Tons of walking. Like the more steps, the better. If I get 20K steps a day, I can stay shredded easily. And the beauty of walking is that it still burns calories just like any other cardio. People undersell the fuck out of walking. It's so powerful. If you walk 20,000 steps a day, hit your protein goal, 8 whole foods, you'd lose 50 pounds without tracking calories. That's my hot take. What was I saying? Right. What was I saying? Oh, walking has a neutral impact on hunger, whereas like running and intense cardio is very glycolytic. So it can make you super hungry. Walking tends to not really make you all that hungry. So I try to do as much of it as I can. So I guess those are my top 3: protein, fiber, walking, and then of course nutrient dense foods, because if you can address micronutrient deficiencies, you'll probably just feel a lot better. And also a lot of times cravings are just nutrient deficiencies manifesting themselves as cravings. So every time I eat nutrient dense foods a lot, I feel less cravings generally. So those are my 3 tips, man. 4, I guess. Teresa Cap says, how do you motivate loved ones to start taking their health seriously? I love this question, Teresa, because you can't. You can't. And I'm sorry if that's not the answer you were hoping for, but the only thing you can do is lead by example and step into the most aligned version of yourself that is the healthiest version of you, and let them sit back and observe. And some people, like my mom, my beautiful, sweet angel mother, will just sort of adopt the habits because they want that change for themselves. They see you doing it. They're inspired by it, and they just step into it. But you cannot, you can lead the horse to water, but you cannot make it drink. It's just the purest form of that analogy. Like, you just can't. I can't make you care about what I care about. And in any facet of life, my hobbies, my interests, my health, your health, you have to have that intrinsically. And so the more you try to create an environment where you force the people you love to do that, the more friction and distance you're probably going to create, and the more suffering you're going to create internally for yourself, because you're going to be mad you can't do it. Lead by example and hope they fall into suit. And eventually, you might be faced with family members like I have that have been forced into taking care of themselves because of some horrible health diagnosis or episode they're dealing with, of which I have plenty of family members who are dealing with that right now. So I'm sorry that's not the answer you were looking for, but I hope and pray that by you becoming the best version of yourself, you will inspire the people that you care about to do the same. Number 22, closing out with Luke Jasinski. How did you differentiate yourself when building your brand? Great question. I just made a video about this. It's not about finding ways to differentiate yourself. It's about being yourself. Luke, I can't stress this enough. To anybody watching, I can't stress this enough. You are the niche. You are the niche. You can say all you want that fitness content is saturated, health and wellness, lifestyle, day in life content, it's all saturated. There's a lot of people. But you know what's not saturated? Someone in the space that is you, that is authentically you. Your authenticity and your vulnerability as a creator is your superpower. It is your edge. It is your key to longevity and infinite inspiration and energy in your content. It is truly a self-sustaining energy source when you create from a place of authenticity. And I've just started creating content fucking 2 years ago. So it could have easily been argued the fitness space is saturated. It wasn't saturated with Michael Smoke. There was no one that was uniquely and authentically me. And I say that meaning with the caveat that you have to be willing to step into your true authenticity. You have to be willing to be vulnerable, and you have to not create content that is trying to emulate someone else's style, because that will always fail. I see so many content creators that are asking me, why is my content failing? And I look at it, it's like, well, there's literally a billion people posing in a gym, not speaking. But there's not a billion people speaking their authentic take on things. There's always room in every industry for one more authentic, vulnerable person. And if you can lean into that, it's not easy to do. It is not easy. It is not easy to be authentic. It's not easy. It's not easy to get on this podcast every week and tell you guys what's going on with my life and talking about my dad's passing and just all of these things that are inherently very uncomfortable. Oh, Emily's calling me. Sorry, boo-boo. It'll have to wait. But it is necessary. That's why I say it's not easy, but it is simple. It is simple to understand. Oh, I just have to be myself, but it is not easy to practice. So for anyone out there trying to build a brand, I implore you, if you can step into your authenticity and your vulnerability, you will be shocked at what will happen, because people buy you. They watch you. They can go anywhere for their information. They can't go anywhere to get you. So the more you can be yourself, the more successful you will be. I hope that helps. And thank you guys for listening to the episode. As always, we're going to close with a step check. It is 2:51 Eastern Standard Time, PM, and I have 6,274 steps. Drop your step check in the comments. If you're on Spotify, please rate the show and follow the channel. It really does help us get the message to more people. And if you're on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and drop a comment with your step check and let me know what you thought. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.